Actually JFDM.
Hey everybody, so we played Draw Steel this past week, and we did a bit of a dungeon delve. So the group went and made their way down into the ruins of the barracks that is on their property that's infested with Raiden Whites, and most of the session was what became one giant combat. So basically they went down into this first room and they found a couple of little things there. It's like all these blueprints and things like that. I was basically trying to make the feel of like a Skaven Warlock Engineers laboratory, the place where they kind of create the plans and do minor experiments. So they found out some stuff from that, and then they made their way down and ended up in this hallway. And they opened some doors pretty quietly and saw a bunch of rats, Raiden Whites at work. On one side, there was work tables and some locked up creations, sort of like rat ogres, basically, for the Skaven literate out there. And then on the other side, they saw basically like a fighting pit where they were testing out the creations, as it were. So they elected to go out the fighting pit side and start attacking things. In doing so, they came face to face with the main engineer, Reekit the Rocket, Reekit Claw. And he shot like Skaven-y rockets at them, which exploded and tossed people around. It was a lot of fun. And so because they triggered him and he shouted to, his first villain action was to shout to release the beasts. That was to release all the held captive experiments. It turned into a fight, whereas like there was stuff on the one side of the room, stuff on the other side of the room, and then them in this hallway in the middle. But the hallway's small, so the little Raiden Whites could get in, but the big ones had to like break the doors off and try and squeeze their way in. They kind of came out, retreated back into the hallway. It was like kind of a desperate fight for them. They were trying to retreat, but things kept getting in their way and slowing them down. But in the end, they did manage to win, but it took like the whole session to do this fight. I mean, they explored a little bit first, so it wasn't like, we played for roughly 3 hours or so. It wasn't like a 3-hour fight. It was more like a 2-hour fight. But it was a long fight. It was like two fights in one, more or less. Yeah, they managed to do that. So now they're kind of in between. They got 2 victories because it was basically 2 fights in one. And so now they're kind of in between going and trying to like rest because they're getting low on recoveries. And actually, I don't think they're getting low on recoveries. I think they have enough recoveries. Maybe they did realize that they have the recoveries. They can get back to full HP and go into the next, keep exploring. They don't know how much is left. I know that there's literally one room left, and it doesn't have to be a combat if they don't want it to. They can try to negotiate with Lord Skrulk. Yes, I'm taking the name right from Warhammer Skaven. Archpontifex Skrulk. If they try to talk to him, they might be able to convince him to leave. They might fail and have to fight. I don't know. But they could negotiate with him instead of going. It doesn't have to be a combat. And this will be the first negotiation if they do happen to do it. And when they walk in, or if they sneak in or whatever, if they don't just launch an attack, if they even if they launch an attack, the first thing this guy is going to do is try and talk to them. We'll see if they accept that, or if they try and talk. I mean, the first encounter they did with the Rat Pack, the Raiden White, my Raiden White, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. They sang a song about this guy, this leader, the Archpontifex. So if they paid attention to that, they would know that maybe there's something to talk to with them. But I guess we'll see. We're playing again this week, actually in just a couple of days. I'm going to talk about now the couple of my last videos. The audio was very quiet, so I got the mic right here now. Hopefully this is letting my voice record at a higher level. I don't know. We're going to see. I'm doing some research on it, trying to figure out why things were very quiet. Like you had to have YouTube's volume all the way up and your desktop volume way too high to hear everything. But hopefully you're hearing this and you're not having to do that stuff and everything's better. Or maybe it's not, but you're going to comment that you can't hear anything. If that's the case, then my apologies. My apologies for the other videos. Guess we'll see. So anyway, that's what's happening in Draw Steel. I think they now have enough victories, if they respite again, to hit level 2. I think they got up to 16, or they will be at 16 XP after resting. So that's interesting. We'll be in level 2, and that's effectively we're already a third of the way through what I can run currently, because that's what I have access to. Now I think we're getting close-ish, maybe? I'd have to actually look up the date of when release is scheduled, if there is a release date for the printing of the book and all that. I'm having fun with what we got. And I still have a whole, all level 2, and then level 3, they could get all the way onto like the cusp before we stop, if, they want to go that far. So, we'll see. But, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in, and I'll see you again for another Draw Steel campaign diary. See ya.